today the price is $22,651. In 1987, my legislative base salary was $55 a day. Today, it's $86.50. In 1987, my legislative per diem was $66. Today, it's $109. In 1987, the cap on permanent total disability was $125,000. Today, that cap is $125,000. If the Secretary of Labor increases the cap in an amount equal to the Midwest CPI as required by Senate Bill 258, the cap on permanent total disability today would be almost $300,000. And even at that, Kansas would still have among the lowest caps in the country. This is a classic example of why sometimes I truly believe that we live in a backward state. I'm proud of Kansas. There are a lot of good things and progressive things that we do. There are a lot of things that we should be very proud of. But this is one area of law where I think it is shameful that we have these kinds of caps. That's why I need your help. I need you to call your senator. I need you to email your senator or write your senator and ask that they support Senate Bill 258. The bill is currently in the Commerce and Labor Committee. Is there anyone here from Wichita? Quite a few people. The chair of that committee is Senator Susan Wagle from Wichita. She just recently replaced the former chairman, Senator David Weissong from Johnson County, who has resigned from the Senate. And Senator Wagle really holds the key to allowing this vote to allow this bill to come to a vote. There are 9 members on the Business and Labor Committee, and we need 5 out of the 9, the majority, to be able to vote this bill out of the committee so that the entire Senate can debate this bill. I'm not sure we need Senator Wagle's vote. I think we'll have 5 people other than Senator Wagle who will vote for the bill. But she is the key, because she has the power to either bring the bill up for a vote or not. So if you're from Wichita, regardless of whether you live in Senator Wagle's district or not, please call her or email her and ask her to bring Senate Bill 258 up for a vote. In a legislative session that will yield very few positive results for the people of Kansas, because we face a $400 million budget deficit. We do have the opportunity to recognize the dignity and worth of our state's injured workers and their families by passing Senate Bill 258. Thank you for the opportunity to discuss this issue with you today, and thank you for your advocacy for the working people of Kansas. Thank you.
Craig, do you want me to answer any questions? Or? Yeah, if you don't mind. Okay.
I'd be happy to answer any questions if you might have about this bill or any other issue.
I'm curious, what is the opposition saying why this bill is not good legislation? Can you talk a little bit about what your opposition is saying?
The opposition typically comes from the Kansas Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the KCCI, the Kansas Independent Business Association, and other business groups who believe that this would be an additional cost added on to the work comp system that they would have to face. But I'm here to tell you that we had an independent evaluation of this bill in terms of what it would do to premiums. And the independent evaluation that we had was that the premiums, work comp premiums, would go up somewhere between 1 to 3%. So our evaluation shows that it really isn't that much of a cost increase to employers. The other thing that I think is important to point out is when you look at the permanent total disability cases, there are very few of those cases in Kansas each year. You might have as many as 25 to 30 each year. So we're not talking about a large number of injured workers and their families being affected. It's a handful of people that live under this $125,000 cap literally for the rest of their lives. So that's the main argument in opposition. We did have a hearing last year on Senate Bill 258, and so we have at least gone past that hurdle. And now it's time that the Senate, the members of the Senate Business and Labor Committee have a vote on the bill.
I have a question. Does that cap include or exclude medical costs?
It includes some medical costs. There are some that are outside of the cap, but a very limited number that are outside of the cap. Right. Yes?
Could you speak to any legal recourse the injured worker has? You know, if this...
Repeat the question.
The question is to speak to any legal recourse that the injured worker has. The injured worker has obviously the recourse of hiring an attorney, a work comp attorney who has expertise in that area, to file the claim and go through the whole appeals process. I might add too, something I didn't talk about, out of that $125,000 cap, obviously the attorney fees come out of that as well. So it's even less, far less money than just a $125,000 cap. And don't get me wrong, you know, I understand that attorneys have to make a living and that they need to have, you know, pay a fee for the work they do. And we've got some very conscientious trial lawyers in Kansas who do take on these cases. But their number is beginning to decline more and more because, you know, they, as I say, have to make a living. And as a consequence, there's not a lot of money in these work comp cases, so to speak, anymore as there used to be. And that's a very, very disheartening thing to think about, is that, you know, injured workers find fewer people to turn to when they do need the legal expertise. Did it answer your question?
If you can't sue, what's the decision?
Pardon me?
Your ability to sue.
No, you don't have an ability to sue. You're within the work comp system. And that goes back to what I said about the, you know, absolving any liability for the employer. It's a no-fault system, so you can't go outside and you know, seek a lawsuit. And I'll make a political statement. I don't know how many Republicans are in the room, but if Sam Brownback is elected governor, you're going to see further what they would call reforms that will benefit the business community at the expense of injured workers. It is a scary thought to imagine what kind of proposals will come out of a Brownback administration. Yes?